Stugotz here for forhims.com. Man, getting old stinks. It really does. I'm getting up there in age. Hair starting to fall out. It is an absolute mess. Did you know that 66% of men lose their hair by the age of 35? Thing is, when you start to notice hair loss, it's too late. Do you want a bald spot to pop up, or do you want to do something about it first? That's why you need to visit forhims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and other wellness supplements for men. Genius. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Hims connects you with real doctors and medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. They have well-known generic equivalents to the name-brand prescriptions to help you keep your hair. No snake oil pills or gas station counter supplements. Instead, prescription solutions backed by science. No waiting room, no awkward doctor visits. Save hours by going to forhims.com. Just answer a few quick questions. The doctor will review your answers and give you a prescription, and products are shipped directly to your door. It is that easy. It is that convenient. It is awesome. Order today, and our listeners get a trial month of Hims for just $5 while supplies last. See website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or a pharmacy. Go to forhims.com/Lebitard. That's forhims.com/Lebitard. forhims.com/Lebitard.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I think I've got a good stat of the day for you guys. I think what we should do is have some sort of polling system or judges be able to tell us whether our stat of the day is any good or not, whether they believe it worthy of Poppy's serenading. I do want, I want you guys to tell me. So let's just start there. I want to get to this Russell Westbrook stuff because Stugotz just said if I were heckling an athlete, I think in history, the one who would scare me most if he turned around angrily and responded to my heckling would be Russell Westbrook. And I thought for a second, and I thought to myself, well, that's prisoner of the moment. That just happened this weekend. And then I agreed with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, it'd be like fighting a cat.
Yeah.
Like you'd turn around, you wouldn't know which way it's coming from. Next thing you know, it's just clinging to your face with its claws. And then when you throw it off, it can bounce away and land 7 stories below and then just attack your face again.
It feels like he could end you in 2 seconds. It does. It just feels like he could end you that quick, but maybe without even touching you.
And yet, this is why I think it was so confounding to me to see him singing so exuberantly in the front row of a Taylor Swift concert, knowing all the lyrics. It's the reason that it was weird to me. Russell Westbrook is one of the most fascinating athletes of our time. I mean, the idea that he could just short-circuit Ricky Rubio and short-circuit himself and short-circuit the end of Carmelo Anthony's career and short-circuit Paul George's last game playing for that uniform, just because he's in a rage, he's like, I'm getting 45, everybody out of the way, and Paul George is on fire like a stuntman leaving the court 2 for 18, like he's just waving his arms because Westbrook has enveloped everything. It should be just a path of fire that carouses over the court. Leaves people charred and then loses in the first or second round.
Yeah. I don't think he likes playing with these guys. I think he enjoys it that way.
I don't think they like playing with him either. He didn't like it the way it was when he was the MVP of the league, so they got him some help, and then all the help wanted to shoot as much as he does.
But I think he's had it both ways now. He's had it with Durant, without Durant, then with George and Carmelo, and I think he has settled on, hey, just me. I'm good with that. We might not win a championship, but I'll have it to triple-double, and I'll win MVPs.
All right, so you saw during that game, and by the way, speaking of that series, I remind you that Rick Pitino said Donovan Mitchell should stay in school for another year. Needed another year of seasoning. That's a thing our favorite vampire said.
They really?
Yes. I don't know whether it was before or after FBI investigation, but the FBI was sniffing around his job, and what he said is that Donovan Mitchell needs another year of me getting paid.
Donovan's doing just fine.
Yeah, evidently. So, but in that game, a heckler went at Westbrook, and after the game, this is what the hissing radiator that is Russell Westbrook had to say about it.
Russell, there were a couple times where you, coming out of into the tunnel, you confronted a fan. What happened in those instances?
I don't confront fans. Fans confront me. Here in Utah, man, a lot of disrespectful, vulgar things are said to the players here with these fans. Man, it's truly disrespectful. talk about your families, your kids, and it's just a disrespect to the game, man. I think it's something that needs to be brought up, and I'm tired of just going out and playing and letting fans say what the hell they want to say. I'm not with that, because if I was on the street, they wouldn't just come up to me and say anything crazy, because I don't play that shit. So I just think it's disrespectful when they get the chance to do whatever they want to do. It needs to be put to a stop, especially here in Utah.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Would you confront Russell Westbrook in the street? Because it is such an interesting thing to say. You remember the Seattle Seahawk, was it Quentin Jefferson? The Seattle Seahawk, who at Jacksonville earlier this year, they threw some stuff at him, and he wasn't having that. And he's a giant, menacing man. I think he's a defensive tackle, and it's what I was telling you. It felt like a gladiator. It felt like something out of Gladiator through grainy footage as he was thinking about climbing a wall, because he's like, you're not going to disrespect me. You don't get to come here and throw things at me. I don't care what you think this is or what you're entitled to. I will take the consequences. This particular man was so proud that he will take the consequences of whatever it looks like and whatever fines are coming his way. Right. But think about this for a second. Quentin Jefferson got fined for someone throwing something at him.
Right. He got fined.
He got fined for someone throwing something at him.
Ridiculous, right? Listen, like I've always said, buying a ticket to a game buys you a pass to, kind of cheer, boo, say things.
You say within reason. The thing that you're always saying is within reason, and I'm always like, your within reason is different than my within reason.
Well, no, but I think my within reason is similar to Russell Westbrook's within reason. Like, I think family and kids, you are crossing a line. You want to boo him and, come up with some creative shots and take them at him. I'm okay with that. But I think when you go to family and kids, then you have crossed the line.
I can't speak to this, okay? I don't know if Utah is worse than most. I do know that OKC did all that stuff to Kevin Durant when he returned. Like, OKC, there were cupcakes. There was a dude pretending to be injured on crutches. Like, there was... Right. It wasn't fun. It wasn't just fun and games. You remember Kevin Durant there was some fear about how will the fans behave. Like, all of this is unreasonably irrational.
And Russell wasn't trying to calm that down, that scene down, wasn't like sending messages to the fans. No. Yeah, I know. Do
you remember Russell's own interactions with Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
That just inflamed the situation.
Yeah. Now, the picture one was interesting, right? Because, I watched that video. So that guy, the Utah fan on the baseline there, he stuck his phone in his face trying to take a picture. It was clear he was trying to take a picture. But I guess I understand, like, Russell doesn't know walking off the court there, what exactly that fan is trying to do. So I guess I understand the reaction to that.
But what are you entitled to? And we'll get to LeBron in a second, because I love this funny video of him just really happy at the end of that game with Tristan Thompson, and then less so with Kevin Love. Just the celebrations with Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson were slightly different. And but the Tristan Thompson, that's an interesting relationship, man. Because Tristan Thompson helped bail out LeBron. He wasn't getting a whole lot of help yesterday, even as people say that it's support. Like, he's ho-hum doing what is that stat line? Stugotz in a Game 7 at home. The Paul George game against Utah, LeBron never has that.
Right. You want the LeBron stat line here?
The LeBron stat line.
45 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, 16 of 25 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 11 of 15 from the free throw line.
How many turnovers?
4.
That's just shy of the record for points in a Game 7 by a player.
-2, though.
He was -2 for the game.
Yeah.
Loser. Not clutch. Not clutch.
They did start making a run when he started getting cramps, eating orange slices.
Good players, Dan, really don't make it to a Game 7 in round 1, right? The greats. The greats of the greats, right? Has any of great players ever made it to a Game 7 in the first round? I'm wondering.
Yes.
No, the greats.
First of all, round 1 hasn't been Game 7. It used to be
5.
It used to be 5. So does that count? Like, what are you doing? You're really doing that flippantly? In round 1, what you're saying, explain to me what you're backing up. Your body language is going to crud.
I'm just saying, best of the best, usually in the first round, don't get to a Game 5 or a Game 7. 5 when it was a best of 5, 7 when it's a best of 7.
Let me ask you this.
He's great, though. What can I say?
And you think he's going to be in the finals?
I haven't quite figured out the strategy yet. I just know he's not losing this round coming up here. He will beat the Raptors. I'm trying to figure out the strategy with the Sixers here because he can't really lose to the Sixers because you can't join them if you can't beat them. He's not going to do what Kevin Durant did. So, yes, I have him. Now I played it out in my mind. He's going to the finals. He gets past the Sixers. He loses in the finals.
Fine. Well,
then joins the Sixers as the missing piece.
Guys, aren't you happy that finally it made its way around all the tumbleweed that blows around in his skull? And the next thing you know, boom, live on air. There it is. You get to see the Stugotz in its natural habitat. Such rare footage of him having a thought, letting it spool, and then bringing it all together with a point that means nothing.
A heck of a team, huh?
Like, I don't know what you're doing. What did you just do?
Listen, I'm telling you, he's calculated. He has this thing planned out, and I'm just trying to keep up with LeBron and Maverick and Rich Paul and figure out how this thing is going to end, and I just figured it out. It's going to end with him getting past Philadelphia, losing badly to the Golden State Warriors, and then joining Philly as the missing piece. If Team Banana Boat doesn't come to Miami.
Okay. I'm glad we talked about Game 7, and I'm glad we talked about LeBron, and you took it to the place that everyone takes every LeBron conversation, which is, I don't care that he just had one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Where is he going to play next season? Congratulations, Stugotz, on being the largest of hacks.
Yeah, thank you. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Home Insurance. I mean, Gabe, let's be honest. Where LeBron goes is infinitely more interesting than what happens in the Eastern Conference this year, right?
Okay, fair enough, but that was a pretty epic performance by him yesterday in a pretty crucial spot where if he hadn't put forth that epic performance, the media would be crushing him today.
Yeah, -2. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Home Insurance. They were worse with him on the court.
He's won 5 straight Game 7s.
Right, but in the time that LeBron was on the court, they lost by 2. How about that? Great players don't do that.
Dan Le Batard.
You're announcing that you will not announce that they are a good team until they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But because you are taking away all of Kevin Durant's championships in your personal record book,
right,
you are never allowing him to win them back-to-back, even if they win them back-to-back, thus securing that you never have to identify them as a great team.
Correct.
Stugotz.
I hate when I wander around in your head and see all the empty spaces and the tumbleweed blown around in it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, I got a stat of the day, but I want to start polling the audience on whether our stat of the day is indeed worthy of stat of the day. I want to start polling the audience on all this stuff. Guillermo's epic sound of the day. Is it indeed epic? Was it indeed epic just because Guillermo says so? But here's your stat of the day. Give me the short version of my father serenading the worthy. The short one, please.
Stat of the day, stat of the day. It is the stat of the day. Stat of the day, stat of the day. It is the stat of the day. Stat of the day, stat of the day. It is the stat of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Joey Gallo is the first player in Major League history to arrive at 50 career home runs before he arrived at 50 career singles. Oh, wow.
That is great.
A double fist pump from Guillermo, baseball fan extraordinaire. All right. That gets the stat of the day. Got a real salute there.
Yes.
That is the change of the game right there. The Rangers have this giant guy who goes up there, and every time he hacks, he does so pornographically. And you can shift on him, but unless you put your outfields on each other's shoulders and just...
Shift. He's not trying to hit a single,
No, the shifts are amazing. Everyone's just on the first base line. All the catcher and everyone else. Everybody's just on the first base because his guy's going to yank it right out of the stadium or head back to the dugout with yet another 4-strikeout game.
Yeah. Love it. That is a great stat of the day right there, man.
All right. It's worthy. Ours normally aren't. Speaking of baseball, did you see what happened here? This one's rare. You do not see this one very often. A rare benched white non-hustler.
Really?
benched by a guy who's not white. So Dave Roberts benches Cody Bellinger for not hustling, pulls him out in the middle of a game. Rookie of the year, and here's what he benched him on, Stugotz. He benched him for a mere double that he thought should have been a triple because Cody Bellinger hit it 423 feet.
And maybe he thought it was going out of the park, Bellinger?
No, I guess.
Maybe.
I guess. But you rarely see this one where usually, we've talked about this before in baseball and just in sports, okay? The celebration is different for Latinos and blacks and whites, generally speaking. You get your occasional Mark Gastineau, but the showboats in sports don't tend to be the white guys. I can't remember the last time I saw exactly this, which is Dave Roberts, Brown, saying, listen, I want to play the game the right way. I want to play the game the white way. And then the guy who goes to the bench is Cody Bellinger, son of a major leaguer. Like, wait, what? What? He's Mr. Play the game the right way. He descends from the heavens. The chromosome, the hitting chromosome given by his father, a lousy shortstop for the Orioles, who was the consummate professional and stayed the consummate professional while batting 200 through a decade.
He's not joking, by the way.
No, this is his father, but his father never had a controversy, never had a bad moment, played the game the way Cal Ripken would play it after him.
Right.
Just worse.
Yeah.
Just worse.
A lot worse. That's correct, and not as often, and with no streak because he was often getting benched because he couldn't hit. But his father was a major leaguer, and that got pipelined down.
Right.
And now his son, generational. We've talked about this stuff. Sometimes it's cultural, sometimes it's generational. I don't know Cody Bellinger's attitude. I do know that on that team, Yasiel Puig got hit with a lot of this. And I can't remember. Give me all the white guys that get hit with this. Benched for not hustling. Give me the names, because when I saw this happen, it's always the more repressed sensibilities. Hell, in that sport, they'll throw baseballs at you if you're too colorful.
I mean, I know Bryce Harper fought with Papelbon in his own dugout.
Yeah. That's generational too, right? That's him coming up like these young people are coming up. Bryce Harper says, I want to do it a different way, the same way Josh Rosen is saying, I want to do it a different way, the same way Baker Mayfield is saying, I want to do it a different way. That's generational. But I'll tell you something about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield had a whole lot of black folks conflicted because of the way that he played the position at quarterback. 6 foot tall. He gets drafted number 1 overall. And I ask you this question, as you heard all the questions about Lamar Jackson. If I give a black player Baker Mayfield's exact skill set and physical dimensions, you think that guy's going number 1 overall? I give you everything's the same. It's Baker Mayfield. Everything is the same. Winning the trophy, but he's 6 feet tall, and he's got a lot of scramble in him, and he plays the game very mobily. Do you think if that guy's black, he's getting taken number 1 overall?
Yes, Michael Vick.
Do you think he's Michael Vick?
Michael Vick was 6 feet. And
do you think that
where was RG3
do
drafted?
You think that this is Michael Vick?
I mean, based on what he's drafted at, they obviously think so. Do I think so? I hope so. He looked good in college. What do I know? I know nothing. I'm a Browns fan. I think all these guys are good.
But
they're always bad.
Do you think of Baker Mayfield as Michael Vick? Because I don't.
He's not that athlete. Certainly not. But Michael Vick had the height thing. It's a fair comp to put out there.
Well, the only reason I put it out there is because I was stunned that Baker Mayfield, everybody was shrugging their shoulders over him being number 1 overall when a 6 foot guy never gets to be that. Drew Brees falls because he's that size. You never get to be the guy who's 6, unless you're Michael Vick, a transcendent athlete by any measure, like that you're always going to be. Do you think Baker Mayfield, when I say to you, is Baker Mayfield Michael Vick, what I'm asking you, do you think that every time Baker Mayfield steps on the field, he's going to be the best athlete on the field?
Oh, no.
Because that was the case with Michael Vick.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us think that of Baker Mayfield.
No, not.
Some of us might think it about Lamar Jackson.
So, yeah, Lamar Jackson's the comp there. Baker Mayfield's not that kind of athlete. A good athlete, not that kind of athlete. I guess they would argue that he's probably just a more talented thrower of the football.
I'm doing a different version of the same conversation we had. Tyler Hansbrough comes out of, because the reverse can also be true in basketball. Before all of you start yelling at me, Le Batard always bringing race into things, let me have my fun. The last time we had a conversation like this, it was about Tyler Hansbrough was the consensus college player of the year. Michael Beasley was a guy who was uber talented and a bit of an airhead. And we were talking about who should get drafted first and how the resumes, if they were reversed. If Tyler Hansbrough was playing like Michael Beasley and Michael Beasley was playing like Tyler Hansbrough, would we say Tyler Hansbrough, black player, college player of the year, that guy is more pro-ready? And that's what I'm asking you here. I'm asking you, why isn't more of a big deal being made of Baker Mayfield being an unprecedented kind of height to be taken at that spot? Not only that, that height is why he was not recruited. That's why he's a walk-on. Because of that height is why that dude couldn't get recruited. He had to walk on. So I'm just asking the question, if I had height concerns about a walk-on who was also a black guy, do you think that he's being taken number 1 overall? And I'm not telling you that he wouldn't. I'm just posing the question because it's curious to me. I'm interested in how it's like the thought experiment of it. The thought experiment of it.
It's an important discussion to have, man. I'm glad we're having it. There's a couple of things here.
Time for some ads.
Bryce Harper was benched by Dusty Baker for not hustling. There were some things, with Papelbon, but
right.
He was benched
That's
for not
right.
hustling
That's
back in 2014.
I'm not sure if he was ever pulled, but J.D. Drew was always a guy that was complained about by fan bases and teammates for never hustling.
Mike, thought experiment for you. Thought experiment. A nameless person is someone said to not pay their bills. Several children by different women. Arrogant and loud with his opinions. That black person. We make him president of this country? Just as a thought experiment. We've run into the time of year where it's big business for 1-800-Flowers.
Some people who think you got Bellinger mixed up with Mark Belanger.
Oh, I did!
That's a big fine,
man.
I
did! Oh, no! Oh, I did do that!
Because you described Mark Belanger perfectly. Great fielder, batted 200 for a decade.
That's terrible! What a terrible, arrogant mistake to make. Stugotz, tell him. I'm going to have to.
Tough segment for you.
Allison, send the Belangers and the Bellingers 1-800-Flowers on my behalf for that mistake.
Don Le Batard.
Bleep yeah! Bleep yeah!
Stugotz.
Bleep no! Bleep no!
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Victor Oladipo's garbage time three-pointer at the end of the Pacers-Cavs game just happened to cover the point spread. The Cavaliers won by 4 after being favored by 6.5 points. That hurts. The over-under for wins have been released. The NFL. The Patriots' odds are at 11 wins. The Eagles are at 10.5. The Browns are at 5.5. And finally, an art gallery in the south of France has discovered that more than half of its collection of paintings are forgeries. The state-owned museum dedicated to the Catalan artist, Atine Terrace. I'm asking. I call him E.T. Spent an estimated 160,000 euros on the fakes over 20 years. Doubts about the collection of paintings, drawings, and watercolors were first raised by art historian Eric Forcada. That guy. He did it several months ago. He noticed that some of the depicted buildings were constructed after Terrace's death in 1922. A committee of experts have now confirmed that 82 of the 140 works were not painted by the artist. I mean, this Forcada guy, by the way, right? That guy.
It made me laugh with this guy. It's like you have no idea what you're looking at. You don't know what you're reading. You're not retaining any of it. You just saw a name and by reflex went to the Stugotz, this guy. It doesn't even mean anything.
I hate that guy. He stares at a painting. He sees what others don't see. That building wasn't there before this artist there. Get out of here, Forcada. Find something better to do with your time.
Then profit immensely off art?
Yeah.
Okay.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
That was a bad beat. Read that first story again. The first story, the Oladipo story.
Bad, man. Oladipo's garbage time three-pointer at the end of the Pacer-Cavs game just happened to cover the point spread. The Cavs won by 4 after being favored by 6.5 points.
That you're watching the end of that. You're just the dribble out the clock. They come up. Nobody's playing any defense. Boom, they make a three. It's a bad beat, but not as bad as this one, as told to us by Pete Rose when we asked one of the most notorious, famous gamblers of all time, the worst beat he ever took that he remembers.
I had a horse 6 in front one night at Latonia, which is a track in Cincinnati, and a damn deer ran out of the woods and knocked my jockey off the horse.
That's hilarious.
That's the God's honest truth, guys. A deer ran out of the damn woods and knocked the horse jockey off the damn horse.
How much was your horse winning by?
He was 6.5 in front going down the backside. They put a wall up at the track now, so deers can't get on the track.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is the saddest thing that's ever happened in gambling Pete Rose at a Cincinnati horse track with a horse up 6.5 lengths derailed by a deer?
This might be the most depressing start to a soundbite ever, too. This is first sentence.
I don't know how it got I do not know how it got funnier after the first sentence.
I had a horse 6 in front one night at Latonia.
Laconia is a great word. It's a great, funny word.
Yeah, you could tell this guy's such a junkie.
Oh, my God.
Such a degenerate
Oh, my God.
by this sentence.
I had a horse 6 in front one night at Latonia.
6 in front,
Wait a minute. Let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about the person in sports that you would expect to find in a corner at the dog track weekday afternoon. Like, who's the person? Because Pete Rose is the person who actually did it, the guy who most resembles the guy who would do it? Honestly, anywhere throughout sports, like, you can't picture LeBron sitting around at the dog track in Cincinnati on a weekday afternoon, rooting for a horse to not get hit by a deer.
No, I can't imagine.
But who can you imagine doing it?
Wow. That is the look. Pete Rose.
Dave Gettleman.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
You don't see him at Latonia? I see him at Latonia.
It's got to be a Cincinnati. It's got to be the equivalent. It doesn't have to be the city of Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's sad. Like, I just think of, look, I'm sorry, Cincinnati, that I have to do this to you, but your sports teams make me sad. Your Bengals are so satisfied for 2 decades with Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton as quarterback. I know many of you think that Dalton hasn't been there 2 decades. You're wrong. And ignore everything I said about Mark Belanger in the last segment. Andy Dalton has been there for 20 years. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does the sports situation in Cincinnati make you sad?
Charlie Weiss.
Really? No, I think that's just, no, because we can do that with fat guys. Andy Reid, I don't think.
All right, I'll make it a non-fat guy. Jim Leland.
That's better. That's better. You could see Belichick there, couldn't you? In a hoodie? Couldn't you see Belichick?
Yeah, I can't see Belichick there. For some reason, I don't know what I'm doing with Gettleman. I just can't see Gettleman there. But yes, I absolutely can see Bill Belichick. Funny.
Can you make fun of me, please, about what I just did with Cody Bellinger and Mark Belanger? Can you please, like...
Well, you had Mark Belanger as Cody Bellinger's dad. You said that for a decade, Mark Belanger was a great fielder, and who batted 200. He didn't do it for a decade. He did it for 2 decades.
2 decades.
Yes.
2 decades of crappy Orioles short start. Mark Belanger. Let's look at some of those numbers right now.
Yeah.
Because he was... like the height of what Jim McAfee would enjoy in his mouth from a hammock.
Now, just to lend to what a great defensive shortstop he was, he set franchise records for career games, assists, and double plays as a shortstop. The batting, though, oof.
Did you say Jim McAfee again?
Yeah.
That's a fine.
Yeah. It's John McAfee, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to have to explain this again at great discomfort. All right, hold on. Everybody just slow down. I got to pay for this fine. And I got to think for a second how I'm going to say this on the radio. There is a Netflix documentary about the antivirus tycoon at one point worth $100 million, John McAfee, who I continue to call Jim McAfee. I'm going to say the excuse for this is some shocking details in the middle of this documentary. So it's the dangerous life of John McAfee. Gringo is the name of the documentary. And in the middle of it, there are some shocking details. I mean, the documentarian on this did a fantastic job. The story's crazy. He killed a guy, it looks like. Allegedly, maybe.
Allegedly paid for it. But,
at the very least. The documentarian talked to what appeared to be the hitman of a torture crime, a crime of killing someone with tasers, like a crime of torture. But in the middle of this, dropped out of nowhere, so to speak, is a little bit of dump and grind. In the middle of this movie, Jim McAfee, antivirus tycoon millionaire, it is revealed by 3 different women that he did not like normal intimate relations. What he liked was a woman in a hammock with a hole in it and eating heartily and then whatever, just in I don't know how to do it.
Splash.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, sometimes.
Cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, dollar.
18 seasons, Mark Belanger hit a total of 20 homers. 18 seasons, Mark Belanger had 3 seasons in which he hit over 230. He's also no longer with us.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's an added bonus.
All-Star season in 76.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, All-Star season, 1976. Hit 1 home run that year.
Yeah.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Next. You're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. Whee-oh! You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
Give us as much as you can here. Take us up to the dramatic first pitch, Billy.
Jose Ureña standing at the back of the mound. He reaches down. He's rubbing some dirt and rosin on his hands. And here we go.
Stugotz.
And the pitch. Oh, God, a home run on the first pitch of the game. Oh, my God.
Welcome, Derek Jeter. And that concludes our Marlins coverage for the season.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I know that Keith Richards is known the best for drug use throughout rock and roll, right? That has to be the choice, correct?
Yeah. I mean, he's certainly he's in the top 3 for sure. Yes. I don't know if he's number 1, but he's certainly in that top 3.
What does the top 3 look like? We're going to get to Stugotz's weekend observations in a second, but what is the top 3 in the history? You got to go living, right? You don't want to do it with the Cobains of the world and all the people who died.
Yeah, I'd get to who Stugotz was just speaking about. George Clinton, Keith Richards. Living is quite the wrench.
Right. I would say Jerry Garcia probably in that conversation.
But not living.
Not living. All right, Bob Weir probably in that conversation as well.
But was George Clinton or is George Clinton an active crack smoker? Like, wasn't he at some point? Wasn't that something? Forgive the reckless speculation of this, but I feel like George Clinton was somebody. We played last week the James Brown interview when he emerged from a domestic abuse incident, and on CNN, it was just crazy. And it seemed like that was a person who was not sober while they were on television. Either that or just James Brown, did crazy well. But when so one of the things that I marveled at with George Clinton is how can he keep it up? I've never heard of an active crack smoker. I've never heard of somebody who admits to a crack addiction and then can be a functioning crack addict.
I see what you did there. Functioning.
That's right. Time now for Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend Observations is brought to you by Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Download the free Vivid Seats app today to get your tickets. Dan, I'd like to take a second and congratulate all the fine young men who didn't get drafted by the New York Jets. Pete Rose denied gambling debts. Bet you he's lying. Dan, it bleeds.
What bleeds?
LeBron.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's right. It does bleed.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
Finally have proof.
I still don't believe it. I think it just leaks red oil.
If it bleeds, we can kill it. Right?
Golden State, maybe. Not the rest of you.
Congratulations to the Patriots for finally bucking the trend and drafting a small white slot receiver. Braxton Berrios, Canton, collision course.
Did you really?
Braxton Berrios, Canton, collision course. Yes, I really did that. Why are you surprised by that?
You took the R out of the first name and put an extra one in the last name.
That's what I do. Braxton Berrios, Canton, collision course. Sam Apuzzo, Boston College, best women's lacrosse player I've ever seen. Beautiful blue, Carolina skies, 70 degrees, amazing breeze, ACC, women's championship game with my wife and daughter, 2 top 5 teams, great game, perfect day. That was unfortunately ruined by the obnoxious parents of the North Carolina players. Carolina lacrosse parents, pretty sad when the kids are more mature than the adults.
Why do you keep bringing your personal vendettas to the middle of the weekend observation?
Well, what do you mean? I was at the sports. I was at the ACC championship game. I mean, it was Boston College. It was North Carolina. BC's coming for Carolina. Carolina said not so fast. Carolina won the game. Perfect day. Carolina blue skies, weather, everything. Ruined by the parents because they were a bunch of jerks. I'm not joking. And this is coming from a guy who's been kicked out of a lacrosse tournament. His daughter's lacrosse tournament. Carolina, I mean, seriously, parents, simmer down. You embarrassed yourself, the school, and your kids. D.D. Gregorius, AL MVP, collision course. The Jets draft received an elite grade from Pro Football Focus. That means the players will be elite on the next team they play for. 45 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals. Jordan was better. Pelicans and Jazz, with all due respect, let's just start the Western Conference Finals. Carmelo said a bench role in Oklahoma City is out of the question. Here's what's out of the question. Carmelo walking away from $28 million. For $28 million, the Thunder should make him the actual bench. When a player comes out of a game, they don't sit on the bench. They sit on Carmelo.
You know what? I'm down with that. Put that on the poll, Guillermo. Should Carmelo not only be on the bench, but be the actual bench?
Carmelo says he has so much more left in the tank. Wait, this past year is what so much left in the tank looks like? That's because he used none of what's left this year. By tank, he means septic tank. The Celtics are better without Kyrie Irving.
There's a lot left in the septic tank.
Everything.
It's all in there.
Sixers, Celtics, old school, Warriors, win by 21 without the 2-time MVP. Kevin Durant, you ruined the league. Mike Schmidt made a bad joke about having a dishwasher at home. He said the dishwasher was his wife.
No.
The joke was met with groans, and I'm guessing when Mike got home, Schmidt hit the fan. Technically, the Celts-Bucks series never started. It didn't. It's still 0-0.
A road team never won a home game? Okay,
yeah,
so
everyone won their home game.
When's it starting? When's the
It starts when a team wins a road game and no one won a road game.
That's right. Okay,
so technically hasn't started yet.
All right.
Yeah.
We're waiting for Celtics.
I want to get underway there. Yeah. Ursin, I don't know if I'm saying it right. Ilyasova. It's not that the Heat Arena is half empty. It's that at any given time, half the people in that arena are in the bathrooms doing cocaine.
That's true.
I'm sorry. Demonstrating the behavior of doing cocaine. Also, Do me a favor. Zip it up. You're Ersin Ilyasova. No one cares. You know what the definition of Ersin Ilyasova is? Someone who will never be responsible for his NBA team being good. What happened there? What happened there?
You're sideswiping Ilyasova.
You know what? Do me a favor. You're playing with Embiid and Ben Simmons. Don't comment on our arena and our fans, okay? Because your bandwagon fan just started watching the games this year in Philadelphia. Give me a break. Worry about your own fans. This is not a character assassination. I'm merely saying he looks like this. But Quinn Snyder totally looks like half the people at American Airlines Arena. So does Ricky Rubio. So does Rudy Gobert. So does Jonas Jerebko. Victor Oladipo said the Pacers.
Gobert?
Yeah, he does. He does.
Gobert?
Not Gobert. Gobert. You haven't been to the AAA lately, man. They all look like Rudy Gobert. Jonas Jerebko.
I'm with you. They look like Rubio. Yeah. Everyone there looks like Rubio. Yeah. And they're all, waiting for the next Latin concert that's coming through.
How about Quinn Snyder? How about that? You look like Quinn, too?
Yes.
Yeah. Victor Oladipo said the Pacers earned everyone's respect. Victor, 4 times. You lost a game of 5-on-1. You earned nobody's respect. Titans offensive line, random drug test, collision course. May the good Lord be with any of the beat writers that have to cover a potential Vegas, Nashville conference finals. This is how I do Raptors and Cavs. Would you rather have Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan or LeBron? Yeah. Cavs in 6.
There you go.
Yankees Pirates, World Series, collision course. Good to see Tristan Thompson getting a block that isn't him trying to call Chloe. Game 7 yesterday was win or go home for everyone but Tristan Thompson. I'm sure Tristan's home is pretty frosty. Yeah. You know where it's not frosty, Dan? Yeah. In hell.
Yeah.
And that's where our Bryles is.
Right. Tristan Thompson played like a man yesterday who wanted to be in a different country, and so he will go to Toronto.
Dan, those are the weekend observations.
That's funny. Win or go home. Win or go home except for Tristan Thompson.
Dame más gasolina.
All right, people, we've told you before. It's in all of our showers. It's in all of our bathrooms. Dollar Shave Club. They've been supporting us for a long time, and we're not just paying lip service to this. We all use it. They are convenient. They are efficient. Tell them, God.
Yep, Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, hair gel, even a wipe that'll leave your teeth feeling tingly clean. And your tush. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products. For just $5, you can get their body cleanser, One Wipe Charlie, shave butter, and their best razor.
Wait a second.
The 6-blade executive. I'm trying to just blow past it, Mike, but you want to bring it back.
I think there's a clarification. Because
There
I'm
is
pretty
a clarification.
Sure they don't make a wipe that can clean your teeth and tush.
There's a wipe. It will just clean your tush. Okay? I was trying
Do not clean your teeth with this wipe.
You use the 6-blade executive razor to clean your face.
Wait a minute.
You use the toothbrush for your teeth. You use the wipe for your tush.
Hold on. Is your reading so bad that you just told people to use butt wipes on their teeth? Is that something that just happened for our sponsor?
I mean, I've used them before, and I got to tell you, they clean your teeth perfectly. I'm not suggesting anyone else do it, okay? But I've used a One Wipe Charlie on my teeth.
Finish the read!
Just be careful in the order in which you do that. All right? I suggest teeth first, then not the other way around.
Dan Batard. Stugotz. This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The Pacers earned some respect. Man, we all knew that was going to happen. If LeBron had to score 185 points against you, that's what would have happened yesterday.
Yes, he wasn't going out there.
You're going out. They're trying to win a Game 7 on the road with Bogdanovich. You go to hell. All of you. Say hello to Art Bryles when you get there.
Oladipo may have earned some people's respect, but the Pacers as a team did not. Is that fair? Maybe Oladipo did. A couple of people.
We all knew that that's what was going to happen. Of course, he was going to start 34 for 34 on his first 34 shot. Of course. Why? Because he's the most unstoppable force in the history of that sport. He ain't putting up any 2 for 16s. Why? Because he's going to put his head down, and what are you going to do? Like, you're going to back off. You're going to get in foul trouble. You're going to be Lance Stevenson out of the game in the first quarter because he's just going to say, here, I'm going to the rim. I mean, it's absurd. It's totally absurd. You got a guy in that body type doing the things that he's doing.
I just can't believe he's still doing it.
It's bleeping
that
crazy.
way, Dan.
Man, you can argue that's the best series he's ever played.
Easily. You can make that argument.
Not easily, because he's got so many other series like it, but you can make the argument that he's never had a better series than that. And why is it? Because they needed it. Because he could have played. I've never seen anyone play basketball that way. Like, he can just sort of give you what you need on that night.
Right. I mean, 35 points a game, man. 10 rebounds, 7.7 assists, 55% from the field.
And with not a lot of help.
No help.
I mean, I wouldn't say no help, but
help.
I would not a lot of help. I wouldn't say no help, but not a lot of help. And he just dragged them there. And it's crazy. Toronto has reinvented their offense. Dwayne Casey might win Coach of the Year. And you guys, LeBron, until he gets eliminated from the playoffs, none of you believe Toronto can do it. You're not going to believe it until after they've done it. And even then, you're going to still doubt it. You're going to expect him to come back somewhere and drop 40 on their head in a game 8. Like, even after it's happened, you're not going to believe that Toronto
I don't have
did
to
it.
worry about it. It's not going to happen. Not this year.
I mean, the Sixers,
Not happening.
I'd be scared of them if I were him.
He's not.
I know.
You can be.
But it's not because of him. It's because of his team. He knows that team's not that good. Stugotz, come on, man. The only time he has to do that, you remember in the finals against Golden State that one year where he just took all the shots and played like Westbrook and shot like 35%. And it's a LeBron you've never seen because the best LeBron is efficient LeBron. Like, he's going to have to do that.
Right.
Against Toronto. He's not going to be able to be that efficient the way he was against Indiana, against Toronto and Embiid.
Just has to do it 4 times, though. That's it. You have to beat him 4 times. I still don't think there's a team out there that could beat him 4 times out of 7. I just don't.
Okay,
I think 4 times out of every 7 games, Dan, he could do 45, 44, 46, 42. That's what he did in this series.
But what I'm telling you about this is the weakest LeBron thing I've seen in the playoffs in about 10 years.
Okay.
When it gets pushed like that by the Pacers in Game 7, and the best the Pacers can give you is Oladipo. I haven't seen a team so weak that he has to carry him that obviously since before he came to Miami when he got so frustrated that he bolted. Because for the last, whatever it is, years, what is it, since 2010 in the playoffs, he's never had to carry a team quite that overtly where you're like, they need 40 from LeBron tonight.
Right. That's fair. No, he knows this. I mean, he knows this is probably the worst team he's ever had in the postseason.
I mean, I don't know. There was one. Kevin Love's probably a better second banana than Mo Williams. He dragged some. I think Larry Hughes was his second best player for a while. He's dragged some bad teams deep into the playoffs while Michael Jordan was losing in the first round, and he never was. But this push like that, where he's going home at the end of Game 1, Game 7, where he's had to hit buzzer beaters, and he's telling you after the game yesterday, I ain't even thinking about Toronto. I'm burnt. I'm fried. I want to go home. It's never required that kind of effort in the first round, and it's why I doubt more than I ever have. Because I don't believe in Toronto either. I believe more in the Sixers.
Right.
Sixers are clearly coming. Mm-hmm. The history in that sport, though, is how many examples do we have of a team like the Sixers that gets to the playoffs and then rolls to the finals? Because the history in that sport is always you got to lose and you got to learn. That's the history.
First year, you're saying?
A team does not go from where Philadelphia has been to the finals without ever a playoff stop or exit in between. That's not something that usually happens in that sport.
Especially one that's been organically built the way that they did with draft picks. So you have an example with the Celtics. And their big 3 that was thrown together, and they were great from the get-go. But then they learned in the playoffs how tough it would be because it took more playoff games to get to the championship.
That's
than
right.
Any other team.
That Celtics
did they win it
team,
that first year?
Yeah, no. Yeah. The Celtics team that got together with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett did win right away. But what Mike is saying is right. It took them more games to do it than any team ever. They were pushed to the brink in every series. And I'm just telling you, what I saw yesterday where LeBron's being Herculean and it's just enough to squeak past the Victor Oladipo Pacers, like that team is vulnerable. I don't know if he's vulnerable, but everything around him is as vulnerable as it's ever been this early in the playoffs.
He's not, by the way.
Don Le Batard.
Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Sex by the fire at night, silk sheets and diamonds all white. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. Lucky for you, that's what I like. That's what I like. If you say you want a good time, well, here I am, baby. Here I am, baby. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Tell me what's on your mind, what's on your mind. If you want it, girl, come and get it. All this is here for you. Tell me, baby. Tell me, baby, what you're trying to do. Gold jewelry shining so bright. Strawberry champagne on ice. Oh, go bleep yourself.
Stugotz.
Honestly, it's offensive. I'm offended on behalf of everyone who's ever made music that's the song of the year.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We've got some good sound of David Akers, the former kicker. We've got some good sound from a San Diego, or I guess it's a Los Angeles Chargers fan. Now, we've got some useless sound from Bill Polian. But before we get to any of that, I'd like to get to the sound that I got to enjoy during the break, which is Stugotz just wandering around and pointing sausage fingers at me and saying, I think you forgot. He just kept saying to me, I think you forgot.
Yeah.
I think you forgot. And he's swirling around me. He's circling like a shark, and he keeps pointing a sausage finger at me. I think you forgot. So finally I look up, and I'm like, forgot what, Stugotz? And he's like, he's been to the final 7 straight times. That's the private show I got, as if I'm a real anti-LeBron.
Seems like you forgot.
Yeah, I see. It seems like I forgot.
Yeah.
So, and also, by the way, Stugotz, when he wasn't doing that, he's feuding with Sixers fans on the text, on Twitter. He said bad things about Sixers fans, and now they're, a bunch of guys named Paulie. I'm not even making that up. I'm not even stereotyping. A bunch of guys who are signing their text with the name Paulie are just they're eviscerating Stugotz.
This guy is Paulie Jr. His Twitter bio reads, rock out. That's it. He says, how bleeping dare you piece of bleep, say anything about Sixers fans. As if they've been there the whole time. Like they've been there throughout the entire process. No, Sixer fans, Paulie Jr., you waited for the Sixers to get good, and then you decided it's convenient to show up. And I'm okay with that. That's what fans do, Paulie Jr.
This is the nature of the beef. If you want to know where the roots of this beef start with Stugotz and Philadelphia, Stugotz is indignant because someone with the resume of Ilyasova would dare to say that the Miami Heat's arena was half empty when they played playoff games there. Stugotz says that Ilyasova does not have the right to this opinion, and Philly fans do not have the right to this opinion.
I'm looking back at the attendance numbers. Now, this year they were fine. They were third. Why? Because the team was good. Okay? So you waited for the process to play out. It played out this year, and you were third in attendance. And I suspect for the next bunch of years you're going to be top 3 in attendance because it's a big city, major market that loves their basketball. But just like every other fan base, you jump on the bandwagon. I'm okay with that, Paulie Jr. Here are the numbers before this year. 2016, you were 28th in attendance. 2015, you were 30th in attendance. 2014, you were 29th in attendance. You were 17th the year before that. 14th the year before that. 25th, 26th, 23rd, going back to 2009. I don't know what to tell you, Paulie Jr. It's a bad fan base.
Why would they go, though, when the team's not good? Like, the fan base argument is so dumb.
I agree. So I was just pointing out that Ilyasova is crushing Heat fans, and really Philadelphia fans didn't show up until this year, and then Paulie Jr. starts crushing me, and I'm just telling Paulie Jr., simmer down. I don't care. Like, you jump on the bandwagon, that's fine. I'm okay with that, but just admit it. Like, Philadelphia fans are weird, man. They think they are the best. The rest of the country thinks they're the worst fans in the world. And Philadelphia fans think they're the best fans in the world, and they're not. They're just like every other fan base.
They're the best fans. They're the best, most passionate fans.
Right.
They're a cliche.
Yeah.
There are no other fans that have a cliche.
I guess I should like them more.
But they are, they're the best and the worst, aren't they?
Yeah. Which the worst being
the best.
Something that people point to and say that makes them the best.
Okay, Guillermo, put it on the poll. If you're the worst, are you the best?
Yeah.
Because, the Philly fans are widely reputed to be the worst, and that makes them the best. And all of them, Paulie Juniors, would turn away if Russell Westbrook just turned around and didn't like the question about his ankles.
Why do people feel like they need to be the best fans in the world?
It's one of the funniest things. Look,
Weird,
man, I don't understand it. I will never understand it. The idea that someone will scream at me, "You're not a real fan," and okay, or you're not loyal. It's like, what? To what? To
your team.
All right. You criticized my team, and you don't know anything about sports. Okay.
Answer this question for me. The second Embiid or Ben Simmons misses a big shot that cost the Sixers the series, who's going to be the first fan just ripping him a new one?
Oh, it's going to be a first call to Howard Eskin's show. Is that still on the air in Philadelphia?
I don't know, but it's going to be Paulie Jr.
Paulie Jr. is going to light up whoever misses the last shot. Yeah, that's why Philadelphia fans are the worst, and by the worst, we mean the best. Useless sound from Bill Polian. Would you like some? Would anyone like a little bit of useless sound from Bill Polian?
I don't know how you can play with a chip on your shoulder. It's heavy. It's hard enough to play the game without a chip on your shoulder. Now, you need to have fire in your belly. You need to have work ethic in your heart and your mind. Yeah. That's necessary. But so righting wrongs that don't mean anything is a waste of time. It's like worrying. Worrying's like like being in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. And that's exactly what that chip on your shoulder does.
Nice. I'm so proud of Bill. It's great sound.
On the money about rocking chairs.
All right, hold on a second. Yeah. Hold on a second. Put it on the poll. Was Bill Polian on the money about rocking chairs? I mean, he's right. You move a lot and don't go anywhere.
You do feel like you're going somewhere.
Right.
But you're not.
You're not going anywhere. Right. That's right. That's right. You're but it's delightful. It's very tranquil. You are going back and forth, but you're not doing very much. Agreed.
Every time I go to the Cracker Barrel and I sit outside on one of the rocking chairs, I always say, I should buy a rocking chair.
It's great, yeah. And then you don't, right? Yeah.
And then I don't. I just wait for the next time I go to Cracker Barrel and sit in the rocking chair.
Yeah.
This is what I want to ask you guys, though. Please help me on this. I want to recap everything that Bill Polian did there. We want a fire in the belly, but not in the eyes, or do we want a fire in the eyes as well? We want fire in the eyes, fire in the belly, but no chip on the shoulder?
No chip on the shoulder.
But fire in the eyes sounds awful, correct? No. Fire in the eyes would seem to be a character risk if Lamar Jackson had it.
But wait, I love a good chip on the shoulder. You guys don't?
No, he says it slows you down. But what doesn't slow you down?
Wait, but fire in the belly?
Yes,
doesn't
it makes you run faster. It makes you faster. Fire in the belly.
Maybe a small chip on the shoulder?
No, I think he thinks that's just a small rocking chair. That's just a small rocking chair.
Something in the heart, too, he said. Something's in the heart.
Oh, what's in the heart?
I don't know how you can play with a chip on your shoulder. It's heavy. It's hard enough to play the game without a chip on your shoulder. Now, you need to have fire in your belly. You need to have work ethic in your heart and your mind. That's necessary. But righting wrongs that don't mean anything is a waste of time. It's like worrying. Worrying's like like being in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. And that's exactly what that chip on your shoulder does.
I swear I didn't hear any of it, so I have no idea what's in the belly, what's in the eyes, any of that stuff. He sounds like Christopher Walken.
He does not. What are you talking about?
Dan, you put it on the poll and you played it.
He doesn't sound like Christopher Walken.
Oh my God, he sounds exactly like Christopher Walken in that soundbite. You don't know what
Christopher Walken sounds like? What are you talking about?
It's like a rocking chair.
That sounds more like Christopher Walken. Bill Polian does not sound like Christopher Walken.
So
just because you wave your sausage fingers around doesn't make it so.
You got to listen for it.
It's just such a weird point to make off of the useless sound of Bill Polian.
Also, I didn't need an analogy to understand what worrying is.
That's right. Well, I did. I needed some help with that. I thought that worrying was useful before I heard that sound. So I'm glad the scales have fallen from my eyes. I think of it as a moment of clarity.
Bailo, sell high.
Hey,
time for some ads.
What are you muttering?
You're wrong on the walking thing.
Okay, I'm wrong. All right.
Worrying. It's like a rocking chair.
That's what Christopher Walken sounds like. Anybody can do a poor Christopher Walken impersonation. The Watch. Anyone can do a poor Christopher Walken except for Bill Polian.
Well, he's not trying. I'm just telling you he sounds like
Okay, hold on a second. There was a work ethic in the heart and mind, right? Is that possible? To have work ethic in your heart? Yes? So it's work ethic in the heart.
I wouldn't know.
Work ethic in the mind. Fire in the belly. No fire in the eyes. No fire in the eyes. How about fire under the fanny? Is there fire under the butt? Does he need to light a fire?
No chip, no matter
No
the
chip,
size.
no
Too heavy.
no chip, too heavy.
All right.
Okay, I got it.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Dan Le Batard.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
Stugotz.
I mean,
No, he's an embarrassment, man. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. And I'm still going to crush him even though they won.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The Marty Party is always welcome here, no matter what he's into, what he's doing. College football. This is not a very big time for college football. He is on a merry-go-round in France. He went paintballing. I think it was today. Paintballing today. Paintbowling is a totally different sport. Paintballing today in France with the Michigan football team because, of course, he did.
You know Harbaugh's great at that, right?
Great at what? Paintball?
Oh,
for
yes.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
How great. Marty joins us now from Paris from a merry-go-round inexplicably that's going up and down right now as we speak. Marty, thank you for being on with us. Is indeed Jim Harbaugh great at paintball?
No. Last year when we were in Rome, we played paintball too. So I did not participate today against Harbaugh. He and I were not in the field of battle at the same time simultaneously today. But I can tell you last year in Rome, we were simultaneously on the battlefield together, and I did every single thing I could in my power to try to shoot him below the belt with my paintball gun.
Yeah.
He was my only target. I didn't care about anybody else on the field. I cared about Harbaugh and those Lululemon britches of his that are so infamous and so famous. Now, let's get into my scenery right now. Yes, I am on a merry-go-round. Yes, we are at the Eiffel Tower. Yes, there are crepes. Yes, there is a beret on top of my hair. Because Viva Paris. Why not? I mean, Danny, you're sitting there talking about this not being excellent, esteemed journalism. What's more esteemed journalistically than paying this old boy over here twice, not just once but twice, to ride around in this circle on these horses and bobbing up down with this gorgeous scenery behind us and crepes and whatnot.
What are you covering? What are you covering? What are you covering for the network? What are you doing with Disney's dollars? Explain to me why you and your crew are hobnobbing in front of on a merry-go-round in front of the Eiffel Tower.
It's a Marty go-round.
We've spent 4 consecutive days with Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines touring Paris. And it has been quite the ride. He's a unique dude. But the most interesting thing was yesterday we went to Normandy Beach. And the players and the coaches and the boys and me got a history lesson. That's basically why we're here. And trust me, it was worth every single dime. I'll send you guys the piece that we did, and you will see. I'm being told by Wiley that we're going to exit the merry-go-round now, although it's still moving, so that could come with some consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, Alex. Say hey, Alex. Show Alex. Alex is our driver. Hi, Alex. Alex, say hello to America.
Driver?
Hey,
so Alex paid the guy again, so I'm getting back on my horse.
Driver? All right, get back on the horse, but hold on a second.
Sit down,
right,
Sammy. I'm getting back on this horse again.
Marty, okay, there you go. Pay the man again for another round on the merry-go-round. Let me explain something to you, though, Marty, if I may, because I understand that you tweeted that, going to the Normandy, the powerful trip to Normandy, that it was one of the most emotional moments you've had, certainly in your professional life. It was a humbling day in Normandy with the football team and Jim Harbaugh. Before I ask you, though, the particulars of that, do you understand how seismically stupid it is for you to be talking about Normandy and war and how emotional you are in the present situation that you're in?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Fully aware.
Okay, very good.
It wasn't especially my intent to have that conversation on the Dan Le Batard show. However, I can do that. But let me remove the beret first before I do that.
Okay, to do it more seriously.
How is his hair perfect?
How is your hair still perfect when you take off the beret? How is that possible?
Because it's my hair.
Okay.
That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I basically put concrete in it to make it look this good.
All right.
in all seriousness, I want to discuss this Normandy thing, all right? We go there, and we go to the American Cemetery at Normandy Beach, all right? My grandfather was in Patton's Third Army in World War II.
Marty, hold on a second, Marty, if I may. You need to move to your left a little bit because the horses are still bobbing behind you. And if you're going to make the somber, serious point about war, the other way, Marty, you're moving
to the right.
The horses are bobbing
there.
behind you. Yeah. I mean, it's slightly better, but talk to your cameraman. I mean, you got to move. Look, you can't make the war point with horses bobbing behind you. No, not really. Your cameraman, does he not speak? Is it French? Is your cameraman French? No, this is not working.
No, he's not French. He's from Charlotte.
Okay.
Well, once this thing stops, I'm going to get back into it because it's really important commentary.
I know, but you can't
I don't want to be distracting.
No, all right, that's fine.
For our tremendous commentary
with
these horses having a field day behind us.
All right, listen to me, Marty. Listen to me.
Just give us just a moment.
I know.
We're going to ask this guy to
I will
stop.
Get your important...
How much have y'all been talking about LeBron today?
I mean, we all default to LeBron, even in France on a merry-go-round.
Marty, slow down. Slow the merry-go-round down. Slow it down. Get off of it, and then give us your important
he's
point.
Stopping it. He's stopping it.
But before you do that, tell us about Jim Harbaugh.
Come this way. We're going to talk about...
I want to hear more about Jim Harbaugh and paintball.
Well, I was a marked man in this year's paintball contest. Every single player and every single coach that I saw from the moment we got here was like, Marty Party! You playing paintball? Hey, Marty Party! You playing paintball? Marty, man, it's great to see you again. Bro hug. You playing paintball? They were after me, and they came after me today. I was a marked man. I was out in the first round, and I got really annoyed by it. But whatever, you win some, you lose some. Okay, is this a better spot for me to discuss our trip to Normandy Beach?
Yes.
Is this acceptable
Yes.
for some sort of journalistic
Marty,
integrity?
don't lash out at me because you decided to do war stories from a merry-go-round.
Fair point. Now I'm going to tell this war story.
Okay, go ahead.
So, yesterday, we go to Gold Beach first, which was the British landing point, okay, where the British sector landed. The Canadians were to the east. The Americans were to the west at Omaha Beach. It was amazing because the port that they built there, the temporary port, was basically, there's still pieces of it sticking out of the water. And it was amazing for us to witness. And I was moved emotionally by it. It was terrible weather, driving rain, freezing cold, and it really emphasized what the soldiers who showed up that day on June 6, 1944, had to manage. All right? So then, after we are there for a bit, we head down the road to Omaha Beach. And the American Cemetery at Omaha Beach, it's impossible for me to describe to you the range of emotions. Because the team came in, there were 4 members of the program who had military ties who were carrying the flag. They all came in unison, and they went up on this platform. It was sort of a colonnade where there's a statue, and around that statue, at the foot of it, says, "Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." And 2 of the players, Ben Bredesen and Grant Newsom, who are offensive linemen, laid a University of Michigan wreath. It was a wreath-laying ceremony. And the wreath was a yellow block M made of roses with purple chrysanthemums all around it. All right? They lay that wreath. Harbaugh gets up. And he has to deliver a speech in this moment, unlike any speech he's ever had to deliver to any team he's ever had. And the basic premise of what he said was, it's a privilege to be here. It's an honor to be here, to be immersed in these folks who sacrificed everything, the ultimate sacrifice, and they won so much. We are honored to be here. And then he paused and he said, "God bless America." And then taps began to play. And fellas, these are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old young men, roughly the same age as those young men who stormed that beach to make sure we had the greatest country in the world. All right? And you could see Jack Harbaugh, coach at Jim's father, was there with us. I spoke with him after the event. He has tears in his eyes running down his face, talking about how in that moment while Taps is playing, he's looking around at these young men on this team. And he can see the emotion within them. We all could. And we all felt it. And we all had tears in our eyes. And he said it was chilling to him to consider that they were that same. The average age in World War II was 26. These are early to mid 20-year-old kids on this football team, okay? So there's a lot of parallels there. And in a world and in a time when you can't get kids to get off these things, these phones, for 5 minutes, to pay attention and to be unified and to be part of something way bigger, they were completely transfixed and immersed in that moment. And it was just fascinating and fantastic to be a part of. I'll say this. I want to tell you about my grandfather real quick. I'm going to take this liberty a moment. My grandfather, James Cameron Massey, was the preacher man in Patton's Third Army. And he told me a story once. They had liberated a concentration camp in Germany. And my grandfather and his peers were so exhausted. My grandfather was emotionally stripped. And he walked out of that concentration camp and around the barracks, and there was a pile of bodies laying there. And there were African Americans. There were Jewish folks. There were white people. There were Asians. All there. And my grandfather said it was the most humbling moment of unity he had ever felt in his life, because in that moment they were all equal. And I told that story to Harbaugh and his father yesterday, and to see the looks on their faces and to share that moment with them, I'll remember it for the rest of my life, and I'm blessed to have gotten to do it.
Marty, thank you for sharing with us. Always thank you for sharing. Good decision to get off of the merry-go-round. You didn't give me a lot of room for jokes there. You were so moved by this, and then you immediately simulated war with paint guns. But okay, like no jokes here. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
Marty Smith joined us today. Check out the Marty Smith's America podcast. It's every Monday this week. The guy who played Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite joined him. Listen on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
Don Le Batard.
Texter writes in, Stugotz looks homeless today. If I saw him walking down Ocean Drive, I would give him $5.
Stugotz.
Thank you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This David Akers sound of the draft. David Akers sound from the draft.
They're great.
And this is the Philadelphia kicker, and he is taunting Dallas fans, and he's doing so as a pro wrestling heel.
I'm representing the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC East champs, divisional champs, NFC champs, and world champs! The world champs! Hey, Dallas, the last time you were in the Super Bowl, these draft picks weren't born! With the 49th pick in the 2018 draft, the NFL would like to represent the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert. He is the tight end from South Dakota State. Go Bards!
Wait, the guy's name who was drafted was actually Dallas?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so great.
Who was it last year that did that for the Cowboys? Was it Drew Pearson or was it another Cowboys legend who did the same thing on draft day? Was this Drew Pearson?
How about them Cowboys? I want to thank the Eagle fans for allowing me to have a career in the NFL. Thank you. I am honored as an undrafted free agent to be selected to make the Cowboys' second-round draft pick. And on behalf of the five-time world champion Dallas Cowboys, Hall of Fame owner Jerry Jones, Dean Jones, and the Jones family, Coach Jason Garrett, all the Cowboy players that played before me, that played with me, and played after me, with the second pick and the 60th pick in the second round, the Dallas Cowboys select defensive back from Colorado, Chidobe Awuzie.
Yes. I mean, put it on the poll, Guillermo. Who did it better, Drew Pearson or David Akers?
Pearson. I mean, so much better. And you can't respond to Pearson with a kicker who never won a Super Bowl.
But they responded. Philadelphia responded. They have fewer titles. Again, Drew Pearson was doing that in Philadelphia. That crowd noise is uproarious.
Yes.
The crowd noise behind that, which is basically you're just stabbing Philadelphia fans in the face with a screwdriver, and that's the sound that it makes, and he keeps going louder and louder. Drew Pearson, I don't know if he buried David Akers, but David Akers had all year to prepare that.
But then they went out and won a Super Bowl.
Right, they did do that.
Drew Pearson propelled them to
a
Super Bowl.
Okay, but listen to the sound again. Is this better than the sound? Well, nothing's better than the Tebow around the tunnel sound. But in terms of sounding like the wailing and gnashing that you would hear beyond the gates of hell, is the sound here being made by Philadelphia something that would be in the classification of the sound Jets fans made around Tebow?
How about them Cowboys? I want to thank the Eagle fans for allowing me to have a career in the NFL. Thank you. I am honored as an undrafted free agent to be selected to make the Cowboys' second-round draft pick. And on behalf of the 5-time world champion Dallas Cowboys, Hall of Fame owner Jerry Jones, Gene Jones, and the Jones family, Coach Jason Garrett, all the Cowboy players that played before me, that played with me, and played after me, with the second pick in the 60th pick in the second round, the Dallas Cowboys select defensive back from Colorado, Chidobe Awuzie.
That's a hard dismount for him to nail.
Yeah, and the guy was a bust.
Mike, is there a way to isolate? Is there, for the next segment, not for this one, a way to isolate just the way the Philadelphia crowd noise? Like do it a cappella? Is there a way just to hear the Philadelphia crowd noise? I feel like it'll be like hearing Marvin Gaye do I Heard It Through the Grapevine a cappella. If we just, like in terms of sports noises, the Philadelphia crowd getting agitated by Drew Pearson and Drew Pearson coming over the top with arrogance and volume. Let's hear how David Akers matched that one more time.
I'm representing the Philadelphia Eagles, NFC East champs, divisional champs, NFC champs, and world champs. The world champs. Hey, Dallas, the last time you were in the Super Bowl, these draft picks weren't born. With the 49th pick in the 2018 draft, the NFL would like to represent the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Goedert. He is the tight end from South Dakota State. Go Bards!
Sound of the Day is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade the shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today.
What does it sound like where Art Briles is, Mike?
Tebow, I want you in the second half. I want you to go. Tebow, save us. Sanchez, you suck, Sanchez.
That was the Jets tunnel at halftime of the butt fumble game.
Enjoy that, Sam Darnold.
Free Don Batard.
If it's 3% on $100 million, that's $300,000. On 120, it's 360.
Stugotz.
3% of 100 million is 3 million, Stugotz.
Oh, my bad.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We will get to the polls from today in a second at Le Batard Show, but the funniest thing from the sports weekend is first. We're going to go around the room here on funniest thing from the sports weekend. Let's do that.
Hey, people. Tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
Funniest thing from the sports weekend is brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Christopher Cody, what do you have for us? Funniest thing from the sports weekend.
The Clippers' Tobias Harris tweeted out a photo of the very large Boban Marjanovic playing Xbox. The controller in his hands, it looks so small.
Guillermo, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend? It did look very small. It was a funny photograph.
During the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia, wrestler Titus O'Neil tripped on his way into the ring and slid completely under the ring, disappearing from sight.
Because he was just sprinting in and he tripped? That is great. Who's going to top that? Roy, try and top it.
The overhyped parrot that the Buccaneers were going to use to announce their draft pick got stage fright and didn't even announce it.
Oh, no. No, that's so sad. It's also terribly Buccaneer. Mike, what do you have there?
For the second straight year, the Tennessee Titans offensive line went crazy in the Nashville Predators game.
Fun,
this time even crazier than last year. They were just straight up pouring beers all over themselves, and at one point poured a beer down a catfish in which another Tennessee Titan offensive lineman was there at the base of the catfish to catch all the beer with his mouth. They use a catfish as a beer flume.
All right, let's get those offensive linemen on together, please, at some point. Let's get, I don't know if we can do all of them, but get a couple of them. Stugotz, what was the funniest thing from the sports weekend?
StatMuse on Twitter tweeted out over the weekend, Dan, in the last 25 years, only one player has taken 43 or more shots in a playoff game. Russell Westbrook. But he's done it twice, and he's 0 for 2 in those games.
Right, of course. We're going to update the polls in a second here, and Stugotz just took my funniest thing, so I don't have one. Let's go ahead and update the polls at LeBatard Show.
I stole your thunder.
At LeBatard Show. I cease to have one. LeBron's flop. Let's just make it LeBron's flop is the funniest thing that I saw. Him, the strongest athlete you've ever seen in basketball, just about going flying into the stands because someone just whispered on him.
At LeBatard Show on Twitter, is Guillermo the flimsiest boycott ever? 94% of the audience said yes.
Guillermo is sitting out Marlins games, select Marlins games.
Unless they have good giveaways, and then maybe I'll return.
That's right. Would you confront Russell Westbrook in the street? 83% of the audience said no. Is Pete Rose at a Cincinnati horse track with a horse up 6.5 lengths getting derailed by a deer the saddest thing that's ever happened in gambling? 82% of the audience said yes.
I had a horse 6 in front one night at Latonia, which is a track in Cincinnati, and that damn deer ran out of the woods and knocked my jockey off the horse.
That's hilarious.
That's the guy's on the street, guys. A deer ran out of the damn woods and knocked the horse jockey off the damn horse.
How much was your horse winning by?
He was 6.5 in front going down the backside. Since then they put a wall up at the track now, so deers can't get on the track.
It's funny.
Never not be funny, that story. Does the sports situation in Cincinnati make you sad? 60% of the audience said yes. Should Carmelo Anthony be the actual bench for the Thunder? You come out, you sit on Carmelo. 93% of the audience said yes.
They should at least put his name on it like a business school. Like get some of that $28 million he's getting next year and put his name on the bench.
If you are the worst, does that make you the best? 73% of the audience said yes. Was Bill Polian on the money about rocking chairs? 75% of the audience said yes. Does Bill Polian sound like Christopher Walken?
So weird by you.
Well, 54% of the audience said no. I mean, other people heard it, though. Okay. I mean, right. Not alone here. When you turn it in, were you turning in to watch LeBron lose yesterday? 51% of the audience said no. Randy Scott's Christopher Walken impression, better than Bill Polian's? 71% of the audience said yes.
I don't know how you heard Christopher Walken there. Do your Christopher Walken. End the show on your Christopher Walken.
I don't have one, Dan.
What is that?
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN News.